All right, cool. Right, here we are.
Welcome back, everyone. This is part 2 of the King's Castle, King James, along with Blair Chopin. And as usual, we're breaking down the week in professional wrestling, like we always do here on the show. But I want to switch gears here for a second, because this Sunday, we're going to witness the first ever SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view since the brand extension, Backlash, live on the WWE Network. And I've got some bad news as it relates to one match in particular. The finals of the SmackDown Tag Team Tournament. Now, those of you who saw SmackDown this past Tuesday, you know that the final was supposed to be Rhino and Heath Slater against Jason Jordan and Chad Gable, American Alpha.
Oh, I like American Alpha.
However, that will not happen.
No.
Because after they defeated the Usos in 30 seconds, American Alpha was attacked because the Usos snapped. And during the course of this attack, unfortunately, Chad Gable suffered a torn MCL. Thankfully, that does not require surgery, but he will be out of action for 2 to 4 weeks. So, therefore, we got to ask ourselves, what does this do to the tournament? Are they just going to hand the belts over to Rhino and Slater at Backlash, or are they going to find another mystery team? Because remember, there's more than the titles on the line in this match. Slater's contract is on the line too. What do you make of this?
It's interesting, because why would you want Rhino to be handed a title? What does that do for you? He's basically an old guy who's emo and does spears a lot, and I don't know why he's even on the main roster, unless he's doing it to push people over, and you want to promote young American Alpha.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't really, but at the same time, do you really want Heath Ledger or whatever his name is?
It's Slater. Ledger died in 2009. Just as a matter of public record.
You know people aren't recorded. Like, this is being recorded, but not everything you say is being put into record.
Well, I know, but...
you talk like a journalist more than all the
journalists
I know.
I say that because what I'm saying is true.
I know what you're saying is true, but... Anyways, Heath Ledger and Rhino, I don't know why they would win. But they probably want to maintain his... I don't know what's going to happen.
Well...
But they shouldn't... American Alpha, they should be getting a push.
Absolutely.
Instead of, like, losing to Rhino. Like, why is Rhino on the main roster? I don't
Well, he came back to NXT a couple of years ago to try to revamp his career, and they signed him to SmackDown shortly after the brand extension. So there must be a reason for that. Well, we'll see how it goes. Meanwhile... We also now know that the six-pack challenge for the SmackDown Women's Championship between Alexa Bliss, Naomi, Carmella, Natalya, and, let's see, Becky Lynch, and somebody else. I can't think of her name. Anyway, the six-pack challenge is now elimination style.
Ooh, elimination style.
Which means last person standing wins. Now, I gotta say, in my opinion, based on what we've seen over the past few weeks on SmackDown Live, the bad girls, or should I say specifically Carmella...
James, did you ever watch the show The Bad Girls Club?
No.
I think that show broke the Guinness record for number of times hair was pulled.
But anyway...
These girls were always fighting.
Anyway...
It was on the Oxygen channel.
I've heard of it, but I never saw it.
Oh, but you missed out.
But specifically, Carmella has the advantage because she's made Nikki Bella tap out 3 different times over the course of the past 3 weeks. So therefore, if she doesn't win the title, I don't know who can. What do you make of this?
It is quite the interesting situation. I mean, there's a 6-pack going on and all that, and that's what you want, a 6-pack of Coors Light. He's a proud sponsor of the show. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But is it just me, or does the SmackDown kind of seem like the B League brand here?
Why would you think they're the B League? Why would you think they're the B League brand?
You're mentioning Rhino in one of the main matches. Like, you can't have Rhino on a main event. And then this Carmella and the 6-pack, I mean, that's not as interesting as the Raw we just talked about. Like, at all.
I got to figure it out.
But I'll tell you something. I'll tell you what is interesting, though, is the match between Dean Ambrose and AJ Styles. By the way, those two...
That is an interesting match.
Those two came face-to-face this past Tuesday on SmackDown. And I'll tell you something. I've got a lot of respect for AJ Styles as an athlete. And I know I've stated publicly that I thought he was ready for the big-time scene since he defeated John Cena on his own at SummerSlam. But I gotta say, based on what we saw on SmackDown this past week, he's getting extremely overconfident. I mean, with Dean Ambrose, you never know what he's going to do.
That's true. He does kind of have that hit me or kiss me factor. Like, you don't know if he's going to go easy on you or if he's going to beat you up.
And you never know when he's going to put you through a table or something.
Preferably the Spanish announce table.
Exactly. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that.
But I mean, this is all well and good. But aren't you getting the vibe that SmackDown's kind of taking the back seat again? And I thought the point of the draft, maybe this was just me, was to foster competition and create more equality between the brands. And I thought SmackDown was going to have some major star power.
Well, they do. Because they not only... Hear me out here. Where... Stop making that noise. You're creeping everyone out.
Are we sure?
Yeah.
Because is it like from a storyline standpoint?
Because let me just let you in on something.
Okay.
They not only have AJ Styles as a mainframe guy, but they have Randy Orton and more recently we just found out that former tag team competitor Kurt Hawkins
that's what you want.
Is
Kurt
making
Hawkins.
His return to SmackDown next week.
Kurt Hawkins sounds like someone who would sell you a get rich quick
And
scheme.
we haven't seen Kurt Hawkins in maybe 4 years.
I have not seen Kurt Hawkins in my entire life. That does nothing for me. I'm saying from a storyline standpoint, people are going to watch this video and they're going to be all into the first part, and the second part they're going to be like, the 6-pack and Kurt Hawkins. It just seems kind of not as exciting as what's going on in Raw.
Well, anyway, you fans at home and you guys watching this video, you guys have plenty of opportunities to make your own opinions based on what we see this Sunday at Backlash. But I guarantee you...
I have a feeling there's going to be some backlash to Backlash.
Of course, hence the name. But anyway...
Yes, but I'm talking like fan backlash, because this doesn't sound very enticing to me. See, I'm an average consumer. You're a diehard consumer of the WWE, and that's fine. You like watch everything.
Right.
You're watching Stone Cold Steve Austin as a cartoon, and you think Vince McMahon might not be a terrible person, and that's all good. But like for average Joe who watches more football than wrestling and wants to get into it but's not so sure, that whole thing we did on SmackDown is not as enticing to me as the sheer shenanigans we got going on Raw.
Well, that is your opinion, Mr. Chopin, and you're entitled to it, as are our fans.
I understand that I'm entitled to my opinion, but I think it's a reasonable opinion. You're, as a diehard consumer, a flag bearer for the WWE, the homer of the WWE.
What?
The
homer?
Yeah, you're a homer for the WWE. The WWE has never done anything wrong in your eyes. But
they did do a couple of things wrong, but I care not to elaborate.
Ooh, elaborate, please.
Well, to tell you the truth, I thought the story prior to the Chris Benoit murder-suicide.
Ooh,
I
juicy.
I thought the storyline where Vince McMahon faked his own death was a little too graphic. But I was gonna follow it anyway because I figured something was gonna happen.
But question, would you think that was too graphic if the Benoit thing wouldn't have happened around the same time?
Well, probably not because as you know, prior to them finding out about it, that episode of Raw was supposed to be a tri-branded memorial service for Mr. McMahon, and I honestly thought that had that gone through the way it was supposed to prior to Benoit's death, McMahon would have shown up that night, and then this illegitimacy thing that followed after McMahon made his return would have been revealed then, and they wouldn't have made us wait for 2 months.
Yeah, I mean...
Because I honestly thought the illegitimate child storyline was great. I thought it was funny when they tried to make Hornswoggle Mr. McMahon's son.
That is funny. That is funny.
So they've done some good things, but they've also done some bad things.
I never thought you would admit they did anything wrong.
Well, and I will say, the way they went about the retirement of Ric Flair, I thought that was wrong too.
Ooh, elaborate.
Well, Ric Flair had been out of action for a number of months heading into the end of 2007.
Woo!
But then he made his return to Raw in Charlotte on the 26th of November. I know because I was there.
Was it the best night of your life?
Well, one of them. But then Flair goes out there and says his big announcement was that he would never retire. But then Mr. McMahon shows up and says, I'm glad that Ric Flair will never retire as long as you keep on winning. Meaning the next time Flair lost a one-on-one match, his career would be over. And of course, that's what happened at WrestleMania 24 when he lost to Shawn Michaels. But
hold on.
But the fact that McMahon put that ultimatum on him in his hometown, that's not good.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, it's kind of custom in wrestling to go out with a loss. And he probably wanted to go out at WrestleMania, and he probably wanted to go out versus Shawn Michaels.
Right.
I'm sure if he wanted to retire then and there, that he could have.
Well,
but I mean, he probably wanted to go out at WrestleMania.
Wait, stop. What I'm saying is the way the ultimatum was brought on was wrong. Because if I were management of a wrestling company, I wouldn't do that to somebody in their own hometown.
I think that was probably Ric Flair's idea. I think Ric Flair was probably like, well, I want to retire from the WWE, but I want to make it seem like I'm being forced out. And I want to go out at WrestleMania versus Shawn Michaels, who I have great affection for. He's a good guy. He's in incredible shape for his age. And
Could be.
I don't think that was...
Well, anyway...
I think Ric Flair has enough, kind of credibility to say, do what he wants, kind of.
Maybe so. Yeah. And, Ric Flair has stayed involved in wrestling since then because he went to Impact for a while, and then he came back for that storyline involving his daughter. Woo! And now he hosts his own podcast. Woo! On Podcast One, the Ric Flair Show.
Got a lot of drinking involved with that one.
So he's been involved for years, even after his retirement.
I think Ric Flair is the Keith Richards of wrestling. No one's sure how he's still alive, but we're glad he is.
Well, we'll see. And when we come back, we're going to switch gears and talk and get you guys ready for tonight's big game. So stay right there.